Okay, so I switched to Zoom instead of Facebook Live. I have sent the invite. Theoretically, she is joining, but now I have to apologize in advance because I can't use my microphone when I'm on the computer. So you're going to hear everything that's happening in the house, and I apologize for that. And let's see if she's joined yet. Okay, it says your video and your mic is off. That was not the right button. All right, there we go. All right, it's already recording, so we can just get started. Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
So far, so good. Feeling better now that we've got this actually going.
Yes.
All right, so I didn't officially introduce you ever because I like to let people introduce themselves. So if you'd like to start with that.
My name is Christel Feather. I live in Reedsville, West Virginia, and I work as a full-time paramedic. And I am currently the American Women of Service Elite title holder for 2024.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. So tell me a bit about yourself. Like, how did you get into pageantry? How did you become a firefighter? Like, just tell me a bit about you.
So, with firefighting, I moved home 16 years ago because my dad had a heart attack,
I'm
and I seen that my parents had small children. So I decided that it was time to leave Virginia and come home. So once my dad got better, I joined the fire department with him so we would have a way to bond, which kind of led me to EMS because I liked firefighting, I liked the fire department, but something was missing. So then I joined a local ambulance service here in Preston County that unfortunately no longer exists, but that's how I got involved with EMS, and it has felt like home ever since. With pageantry, Tish Lambert is the one who actually got me involved in them. Um, I competed in her Valley District pageant in 2018. She's like, "Come on, you need to do this. I'm telling you, it'll be something you really enjoy." At the time, I weighed about 260, 280 pounds, very low self confidence, couldn't make eye contact, couldn't touch people at all. Um, so from that first pageant, it has really changed who I am as a person. I am able to make eye contact, have conversations, and even at times I can touch when it's something that I feel is safe or comfortable.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so through pageantry, do you feel like I know you were just saying like you feel much more comfortable, much more confident, but like I'd love to hear you kind of speak to those aspects more that kind of plays directly into what we're going to be talking about tonight. So what are some of the things that you feel like pageantry is sort of brought to your life or made better, for lack of a better word?
For me personally, it I never felt like I had a voice. So before my husband that I have now, I was in a domestic violence relationship, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. And it very much broke me as a person. So when I did come home, I was only a shell of the person I had used to be.
Mhm.
So, getting involved in pageants, I learned that it didn't matter what my weight was, it didn't matter what I look like or my background. The women there that day were extremely supportive. They helped with my hair, they helped me get dressed because I didn't even know how to put a gown on. I didn't know how to walk in shoes, and they didn't know me. And they were kind and caring because I had the same perception that a lot of people do, that pageant girls are mean and that this isn't for everybody. And that day really changed so much for me and how I felt that. So continuing through with pageants, I've now found my platform, I have found a voice, and I have found what I am passionate about, which is supporting my fellow EMS providers. And this is a way to be able to do that at a bigger level.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up actually. So your platform, correct me if I'm wrong, it's Mind Over Medic.
Correct.
Okay, so tell me a bit about that.
So EMS has struggled with mental health for a very long time, but there has not been resources for us. Especially when I got started in the beginning, I was told to basically shove my feelings down. We don't get upset, we don't cry, we just suck it up and move on. That pretty much led to a very self destructive path for me, as well as very many others. So, working with some of the girls that have competed in bigger pageants before I had, Jamie helped me find the name Mind Over Medic, which a lot of people assume it is just for paramedics. It's not. It's for anyone who has ever been involved in EMS, regardless of time, certification level, volunteer, or paid. We have a group, it's private, no one outside of EMS can get in. We talk to each other about the hard calls, we talk to each other about the struggles because not everyone knows. So when I competed at the Mrs. United States pageant, I met a therapist down there who loved what I was trying to do and understood that EMS needed something. So she got certified in the state of West Virginia to provide free or low cost telehealth therapy services
Wow.
to all first responders and especially EMS. And she had people who were specifically trained to deal with her first responder attitude.
That's amazing. Talk about like instantaneously making an impact.
Yes.
So
So
what,
that's where we do.
yeah, for sure. So what are some of the other, projects maybe that you're working on through Mind Over Medic, or if you've got anything coming up on the horizon?
So I'm actually back in school. I'm working on getting my bachelor's degree to move on to my master's degree to become a psychologist myself. And I'm
Congratulations.
going to thank you. I'm going to open my own practice, and it will solely be for first responders and EMS. And I want to spread it not only in the United States, but all over the world because EMS truly hasn't been around that long that we're kind of forgotten about sometimes. So, police officers have their own groups, firefighters have their own groups, militaries have their own groups, and people who are trained for them. And I want to bring that toward the EMS side so that we don't lose any more of our paramedics, EMTs, drivers, anyone to suicide. We've lost a couple here in West Virginia over the last couple of years. And I just want to be that person that can help navigate them through that and we don't lose anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. So not to this is not a great transition and I apologize because you were just talking about like very important things. But I feel like that kind of ties into like the overall premise behind this series is all about the idea of self-care, and how you balance your efforts of helping people in the community or doing whatever sort of community service volunteer efforts that you're a part of, and also taking care of yourself. So I've heard a lot about how you're working to take care of so many people in your community, and that's amazing. What are some of the ways you take care of you?
So, hand washing is a big thing for me. If I have a difficult call, I need a few minutes and I just go wash my hands. Someone here in Preston County taught me that years ago. And he was like, get your feelings out, wash your hands, and it all goes down the drain. You can talk about it later because there's not a lot of time in between calls sometimes. So then today, like I actually took a self care day. I went to the gym and I went and laid in the tanning bed because laying in the tanning bed makes me feel good. It may not always be good for your skin, but 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, it just gives me that little boost of sunshine that I need and time to be alone with my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that taking time for yourself by yourself is so important. And I feel like that's the thing that's the hardest for so many people to achieve. Whether you have a family or, you work a lot of hours or more than one job or you're a student, like it's hard to find time to just be by yourself and not
Mhm.
feel guilty about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I struggled with that for a very long time.
Mhm.
So now I wash my hands when there's a bad call, and then on my days off, I will take the time, go to that tanning bed, go to the gym, and put my little headphones on and just spend time with myself. And that little bit of time is good for me.
Absolutely. What are some of the other ways that you like to spend your time off? Like, are there any other activities or hobbies that you like, or are you like I need to stay home and be kind of chill on my time off person?
I really don't get a lot of time off. Unfortunately, my mom has some health issues as well as my dad. So on my days off, I usually dedicate a couple of days toward them to doing whatever they need to have done, going to doctor's appointments or helping with my younger siblings that still live at my parents' house because I have my youngest sibling is 8. So, sometimes they need that extra. So, very rarely do I get a whole day to myself. And then if I do, I try to spend time with my husband as well as my dogs, my cat, and our pet chickens.
Okay, okay. So tell me more about the pets because I personally believe that like animals are the most therapeutic and healing little beings in the world. I grew up on a farm and mostly I just found it like I had a lot of pets, a lot of farm animals, a lot of siblings, and I found it to be tiresome at the time. But now as an adult, I have a dog of my own and I just like when I'm away from him for too long, I actually cry about it. Like it just gives me kind of anxiety to not be around him. So I'm sure you find that
Yeah, no,
with your animals.
that's very hard, especially when we travel for pageants and stuff.
Mm.
Izzy is my little 10-year-old half Chihuahua, half Min Pin. And he has become an emotional support animal without knowing that he's an emotional support animal.
Hmm.
So we snuggle a lot. Then we ended up with a boxer a couple years ago because my husband wanted one. And no one told me it was like having a toddler in our house. They are. He's a terrorist, but he's cute and we love him. And so he is more like, let's get outside, let's go do something type animal. And then our cat, Noelle, she randomly showed up here one day and just never left. So we've adopted her and taken her in. And then the chickens, I had an obsession with every time we went to Tractor Supply, which is a farm store here, and I would always beg for peeps. And so Buck would get me them. They're in different colors and different types, and they lay different eggs, but they all have names. They live outside. They have a great house, and they're very happy.
Oh, I love that. That's so fun. I didn't even realize that like different, I mean, it makes sense now that I'm thinking about it, but I guess I've never thought about it. Different chickens, different eggs.
Yes, and that was something I didn't know until he brought a green egg in the house one day. I'm like, what is that? And he's like, oh, depending on the type of chicken, depends on the type of egg you get.
Is there like a taste difference or just like a look difference?
Just the look difference. We have blue eggs, green eggs, and brown eggs, but they all taste the same.
Weird. I wonder why that is.
I have no idea, to be honest, but I think it's cute.
I bet so. Yeah, I love that. I think it's so cool. I didn't even realize that chickens laid blue eggs. I feel like I
Mhm.
only thought that like robins laid blue eggs because it's like called robin's shell blue or something, but
Yeah.
you learn something new every single day. Okay, so talk me through your hand washing process because I understand this is like a big part of your like recentering during the day. Are you like washing in the station or you just like pull over wherever there's a bathroom? I need to go wash my hands.
I usually will get done at the hospital or the facility. I take my gloves off, I throw them in the trash. I tell my partner, hey, I'll be right back. And I just go in and I turn the warm water on because I like it very warm almost to burn my skin. And I just, yeah, I like very hot water. and just get the soap and feel the bubbles and just kind of imagine as I'm rinsing my hands off and the soap off that whatever just happened is going down the drain
Mm.
and I can revisit that later because I somebody else needs me and I need to get moving. And it's just enough to take that breath, take that second to be able to recenter myself because sometimes it is very hard. It's very emotionally draining and very physical at times. And I just need a second. And that gets me through until I get a break to be able to, you know, go sit down and debrief with my partner because I know it's bothering them as well.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's so important to be able to have someone to talk to, whether they're sharing it firsthand experience like your partner is, or even like, do you talk to Buck about these things when you come home, or you try to like leave that outside of your home?
Sometimes we talk about things. I don't always open up and share how bad it is because I know that people who don't work in EMS, fire, police, that kind of stuff, if we try to explain it to them, we can actually traumatize them by telling them the things that we have seen
Yeah.
or talk about that type of stuff. He does understand when I've had a bad day. Sometimes I just need some time when I get home. If I choose to talk about it, it's okay. But if I don't, he also understands. But I have really great people that surround me now in EMS that I know I can pick up my phone anytime, day or night, and call them.
That's awesome. It's so important to have a community of people. It really is. It just
I mean,
makes,
Buck Rogers, I would talk more, but you know,
no, of course. I mean, like, you're totally right. There are some things that you just, it almost like doesn't even help to share it. Like it probably would help to get it out in some sort of way, but that's, like where the hand washing or the going to the gym or playing outside with the dog, like those sorts of things also help you kind of like step away from those situations. Because even like when you're not dealing with life and death situations, like you are literally every day, but for us regular, not as inspirational people, even when we're just dealing with something like uncomfortable, it's so important to be able to have an outlet for those feelings, those thoughts.
yeah, and it's difficult to find what I call my people. It
Hmm.
took a long time to be able to build that trust and say, okay, I'm trusting you with the darkest part of my day, the darkest part of what I'm feeling right now, to not judge me. And I suffered a lot with feeling that I was judged all the time.
Hmm.
And now that I have found that person and know that I can call them, I don't feel that way any longer. And I'm not as depressed or sad as I used to be. I do get what we call compassion fatigue because I that's one part of me that has never broke with EMS. I'm still very empathetic. I'm still very compassionate for people and sometimes that just breaks my heart and you get burnt out from it.
Hmm. Absolutely. Is there anything in particular that you do in those moments where like, is that when you decide, like, okay, maybe I need to take the next day off, or do you have like anything you fall back on to kind of help rejuvenate your spirit really in those moments?
When I get time, I go find somewhere to volunteer. I go find something to do.
Yeah.
Um, Last year, I had a really, really bad call that got me down for weeks. And we have mental health days where I work, which a lot of people don't. We get 3 every 2 years, which I know doesn't seem like a lot, but for those who don't get them at all, it is actually a blessing to have them.
Yeah.
But I called in and I said, I'm taking a mental health day. And I just didn't go to work and I went to a pageant instead because I could be with people who wanted to laugh and have a good time and who I know loved me and would be there for me regardless. And that's how I felt better that day.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I've been doing pageants for more than half my life now, and they are always the people that kind of like bring me back to like my fun self. They are the
Mm.
people that you can just go laugh and have a good time with. And somehow they're always the people that end up like showing up for you the most. They're the people that
Yeah.
you can always count on. Like, I have like, I mean, I have a perfectly fine working relationship with my coworkers. Like, I have nothing against any of them. I think they're perfectly fine people, but like, I'm not close with them. I don't go out of my way to like spend time with them outside of work. Whereas there are people that I met when I was like 13 that I still talk to all the time. Like, one of my lifelong family friends, Lori, she's basically my aunt at this point because I have known her since I was like 12 years old. I just saw her yesterday. I see her like every other week because and I met her through pageants and it's just like you're absolutely right. It's just nice to have uplifting people who like also kind of get it, right? Because all pageant people are like trying to make a difference somehow in some aspect of their community. And that's cool to meet other people who are also like sort of wearing themselves out trying to do everything.
Yeah. And as I said, after I attended my first one, I got a totally different sense of what pageant people and women were actually like. Because even the men that come to these things as husbands and boyfriends and supporters, they are some of the most outgoing people I've ever met. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just in awe.
Yeah. Everybody's fun. Like even when people bring their dogs or their babies or something, like everybody's having a good time. There's music and the lights and it's like it's you get kind of caught up in the emotions of like the room and you're having a great time. It's like exhausting by the time you're done, but when you're in that moment, you're like, I wish this never would end.
Absolutely. And like I said, I that's just something I have found, and I'm glad that I found it when I did.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to touch back on your volunteering and your platform work, Mind Over Medic. Do you guys have any projects or initiatives or anything that you're working on in the future, like maybe a fundraiser or something?
So I'm still trying to get it done as a 501c3. I had someone who was supposed to be working on that and didn't finish it for me because that is not in the realm of things I understand or know. So that way we can set up something that if people want to donate and say, I want this to go to this particular mental health facility where I know their EMS providers and cover their co-pays.
Yeah.
That would be something that I would love to be able to get set up and done so that they don't have to worry because a lot of people in EMS don't make a lot of money. So they work 2 and 3 jobs to be able to cover their bills. Some don't have health insurance. I work at a place that I'm lucky to have those things and grateful for that. But I know that there are people who aren't. And so they don't go get the treatment or go get the help that they need. So if we can make it more cost effective, saying, here's 10 free sessions, go do whatever with those 10 sessions as you want. If you need more, come back and we'll replenish. So being able to set up that 501c3 to have a place people can just put money, and if they want it designated to a specific state, specific facility, then we can do that. And if not, then it can go to whoever needs it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right. I don't want to keep you too long because I know I wasted a lot of your time already fighting with Facebook. But are there, I apologize for that because that was, I don't know if that frustrated you as much as that frustrated me, but it frustrated me quite a bit.
I just didn't want to disappoint and not be like, I'm really trying.
No, I know. And I'm not frustrated with you because it's not even just you. It's been Facebook. Like I have trouble getting people to be able to join on Facebook every time I do that. So I think I'm gonna honestly, I kind of like this setup. I mean, I would probably want it like a taller table, so I'm not like leaning over the computer. But I kind of like this. I might do the Zoom and then like because now that it's recorded, I can just theoretically upload this right to Facebook and then it's like we still did it live. It's just we didn't do it live. We were live, but no one was watching.
And that's okay. And they can post their questions or whatever, and I will try to check back. And answer what I can and what I'm comfortable with answering.
Yes, absolutely. We are a big fan of boundaries in both my household and in the We Aim to Slay universe. Boundaries are important.
Well, that's an amazing thing, and I'm glad that you have that.
Yeah, you're right. That is like a thing. That's like something people have to work on. And sometimes I feel like I take it for granted that I've just like I've always I guess that's how I was raised. You've met my mom. She is a delightful, wonderful, fun, outgoing person. But when she is done. And she makes that very clear. And she raised me and my sisters the same way. You know, like our limits are our limits, and you cannot push past them. If you do, we are no longer liable for what happens.
And that's amazing. I didn't learn to set up boundaries until about 2.5 years ago. So now that I can and I can verbalize those boundaries, it gives me an autonomy of myself
Mhm.
and to be able to say what I'm finally okay with and what I'm not. So kudos to your mom for raising you that way. And I wish I would have known that so much sooner in life.
Wait, I feel yes, 100%, but you have to look at it like you have it now and you're going forward. No one can tell you where your boundaries are now because you can. You'll tell them when you are or are not comfortable with something. And it's freeing, isn't it?
It is very much freeing. It's something that I never thought I could feel
Mhm.
and be okay with feeling because I would feel guilt when I tried to set up boundaries. And now that I have those, Izzy's coming to join now. Uh, I like being able to say that and I feel comfortable in my own skin and I feel comfortable being able to say, it's not your time.
Mhm. That's beautiful. I love that. And what a positive note on which to go out. And so thank you again so much, Crystal, for taking the time and for not giving up on me while I fought with the technology. Thank you for chatting and for being willing to share your story.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it and I miss seeing you so
I
much.
know, I miss you too. Actually, so my mom and I are planning another camping trip. We're planning to I think we were planning to camp out in Tennessee again, which I know you guys are in West Virginia, but like that is on the way, and I believe we can make a detour.
Absolutely. I would love that and love for Buck to meet you guys and, get to understand why you're some of my favorite people and want to hang out.
Yeah, oh my gosh. We love you so much, Crystal. Thank you so much for being on here with me tonight, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
You too. And I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.